Hi there YouTube, my name is Pixar Prime 10 and welcome back to another episode of Mega May 4. If any of you watching have seen previous years of Mega May, you'll remember that in Mega May 3, I reviewed 4 of the Mega Man Funko Pops. Since then, I have acquired a few more Pops from the Mega Man collection, so I figured I might as well give my opinions on the few that I've gotten since 2017. The Pops that you and I are going to look at today are the jumping version of Mega Man himself, the 8-bit version of Mega Man, the 8-bit version of Mega Man with the Gyro Attack power, and the Mega Man X Pop, which comes in this Rocket vs. Mega Man X Marvel vs. Capcom 2-pack. So starting off with the most basic guy first, this is basically the same version of Mega Man that we looked at 2 years ago, but now he's jumping. The box is the same that we see with all types of Funko Pops. Considering there's so many of them and they're so popular, I'm assuming a lot of you have seen these boxes before. You have the figure inside with a picture of it there in the bottom left corner with its name on the bottom, the logo of whatever series it's from up top. On the side, you have another image of the figure. On the back, there's the same image of the figure with the 4 Funko Pops in the Mega Man line that I reviewed 2 years ago. And then on the side is an open window showcasing the figure. This pattern of box art remains the same across the other 2 Funko Pops that are just Mega Man, except for the 8-bit versions, you get a little 8-bit sprite of Mega Man on the back. However, for some reason, on the Gyro Attack version, they didn't change the color of Mega Man. They changed him on the left there, so I don't know why they didn't go ahead and change the 8-bit version of him there. It doesn't really bother me, but it really just doesn't make any sense either. On the front here, we have 2 stickers, one that says glows in the dark, which is very exciting, and one that says 2018 Canadian Convention exclusive, which is pretty cool. It says limited edition. And finally, this 2-pack is something that I've been very excited to have for a very long time, because not only am I a huge fan of Mega Man, as you all know, I'm actually a huge fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I don't own Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, but I would really like to get that game because it looks incredible. But the real prize for me in this pack is that awesome looking Mega Man X Pop. The art here on the front with the Marvel vs. Capcom logo is really nice, and on the back we have the same images of the characters as well as the other packs that you can get from these sets. I'm excited to actually have these things in my hands, so what do you say we mega bust them out of their packaging and take a closer look? Alright, here we have the first pop out of its packaging in front of the camera. I wanted to start with the most normal pops and move towards the more obscure ones. Now, if anyone who watches this channel remembers from the pop reviews in 2017, which I don't think anybody will, I said that I'm not a huge fan of Funko Pops. I have nothing against them, I personally just don't love them. I'm a fan of really accurate type figures and toys. And Funko Pops, in my opinion, aren't accurate because, well, they have the just black eyes, no mouths, and large heads and tiny bodies. But what I also said in those reviews is that I think the Funko Pop style really lends itself well to the Mega Man Pops. Depending on what piece of artwork you're looking at, the Mega Man characters actually do really kind of represent this chibi style of characters, especially if you're looking at the Mega Man Powered Up remake for PSP, which I'm pretty sure I mentioned back in that review in Mega Man 3. But that's why I actually really enjoy having Funko Pops from the Mega Man series. That being said, in front of us we have just another version of Mega Man. It is him in his classic jump and shoot pose. The other version of Mega Man was really cool, he was just standing there, but this one is more of an iconic pose for Mega Man. If you've ever played a Mega Man game, you know how iconic this jump and shoot pose is for him. I'm also not a fan of figure and statue type things where you have to buy additional ones to be able to get the pose that you want. That's why I really like figures like the Good Smile Nendoroid Mega Man, because you can put him in any pose you want. You don't have to buy a second figure to be able to obtain this pose instead of a standing pose. But I haven't actually bought in most of the Funko Pops that I have. They were all gifted to me. One thing that I absolutely can give Funko Pops is that the detail on them is usually pretty good. And detail is a loose term for such simple figures, but the paint always looks really good, and I've never had bad experiences with them. Everything is really sharp on this figure all the way around, and there's really no paint bleeding that I can see. The molding looks great. It has all the details that you would expect from a Mega Man character, and when you look at it, you can tell that that's Mega Man. He comes with a clear stand so that he can actually hover in the air, and he has no problem standing. He's not top heavy at all, and it's a really good weight, but it also does not feel cheap, which is great. The only articulation that it has is that his head can look side to side. It can go the full 360, but I don't like wearing out joints like that. So you can have him looking head on like that. You could have him looking over his shoulder like that, which also looks pretty cool. Or you could just have him in the classic jump and shoot, kind of like how I had him before. And while I really like the way this guy looks out of his box, I'm the type of person that really loves displaying their Funko Pops in their boxes, because I think their boxes really serve as nice display cases themselves. So this guy is going to go back in his box as soon as this review is over, but maybe one day if I start to run out of room for those boxes, they're going to have to come out, which won't be a problem because I think this guy looks really nice just standing there. Next up, we have just another normal version of the Blue Bomber, but this time it's him in an 8-bit rendition. And I'm a sucker for a lot of things 8-bit. I think 8-bit things are cool, especially because that's not only where Mega Man started, it's where most of his games actually take place, at least in the classic series. What's nice is the pose on this guy is different from the just normal Mega Man that's just standing. In the normal one, his Mega Buster is down, and this one he has it pointed. I think I would have appreciated it if they tried to do some sort of a pose that is iconic to the actual 8-bit games, maybe the one where his arms are out to the side when he's just standing, or his running pose or his running and gunning pose, because those are two poses that are very accurate to 8-bit Mega Man. But all in all, I think this guy still looks really, really good. Now, even though Funko Pops are not known to have great articulation, this guy actually doesn't have any articulation. And while that's not a huge problem, it does take away from at least one thing that is always guaranteed about a Funko Pop, the fact that their heads can rotate. It's not that this one's head needs to rotate. In fact, this is probably how I would have him displayed most of the time. Maybe I would kind of angle his head on the side like that, but it really isn't a big deal to me considering I will be displaying these guys in their boxes and I would have to put his head forwards to make him fit in the box anyway. The colors look really good. What's great about this is most of it isn't painted. I think all of these colors are molded in these colors. So the black, the skin, and the blue and dark blue are all they're just molded in that color and then put together. They're not painted, which means you're not going to get any paint bleeding, which looks really good. There's some strange white marks around the ears here, which I can seem to scratch off, but I'm not really sure what that is. And of course, you have the yellow line on his Mega Buster there, and the red on the inside, which looks really good. The first thing that I noticed about this guy immediately upon taking him out of the box is that he is extremely heavy. Not extremely to the point where I can't lift him, obviously, but compared to a normal Funko Pop, which just feels very light, this thing is heavy, but it feels solid and it feels really good. It definitely does not feel cheap. To me, these 8-bit versions look less like Funko Pops than the actual Pops themselves. Just something about the fact that because the body is just a little bit more proportioned with the head, this just looks like a normal Mega Man figure to me. Up next is the same figure that we just looked at, but in green. And this is the Gyro Attack from Mega Man 9, which was an awesome ability. Not only would it give you a great aerial boost during a jump, but it would pretty much wipe out all of the enemies on screen. But there's not much more about this guy that I can say that I didn't say about the last one. He's blocky, he's heavy, and he looks pretty good. I don't love the colors on him. Green is not one of my favorite colors, and these two side by side do look really, really cool. I only do wish that I could turn their heads to give them just a little bit more of a dynamic look, have one looking that way and have one looking the other way. But like I said, I will be displaying these guys in their boxes, so in reality, they're both going to be like that in their boxes right next to each other. One thing that is kind of strange that you can clearly see on the camera, at least I think, is that the blue version of Mega Man's skin tone is much darker, not much, but it's just darker than this version. I don't really know why. I would assume they use the same plastic, and I don't think the skin glows in the dark. We're going to find out in a second, but it's just a very odd observation to me that that is a lighter skin tone. But like it said on the box, this figure does glow in the dark, so what do you say we shut off all these bright lights and take a look? So something that I'm very surprised about is that the whole figure actually glows. Everything that is armor actually, so everything except the face glows. It's not very bright. I held this up to a light for a very long time, and I could not get it to glow that brightly. The white trim around the figure glows really nicely, but everything else does not glow that well. I really thought the green would glow because most times on a toy that has glow-in-the-dark features, the green is the part that glows. But I do have a few glow-in-the-dark toys that at night when I turn off the lights in my basement and go upstairs, I see them on the shelves and I forget that they glow in the dark, and it kind of spooks you a little bit. So I imagine this is going to do the same, which is cool. Glow-in-the-dark is something that I never look for on a toy, but it is always a feature that I do really appreciate because, well, it really is just kind of pretty cool. One thing that's cool about the green plastic on here, which is probably due to the glow-in-the-dark feature, is that it's kind of a clear green plastic. I'm not sure if you can see it on the camera, but I can totally tell that it doesn't look like a solid plastic like the one on here does. It just has more of a transparent, translucent quality to it than a solid plastic like this does. And finally, the last pop that we will be looking at is the Mega Man X bobblehead from the Rocket vs. Mega Man X 2-pack. This is something that I was actually very excited to get. I was never going to buy it originally because, fun fact, when I actually got it, I wasn't a fan of the Marvel movies yet, but I really wanted the Mega Man X pop. Well, a friend of mine knew that I wanted it, so for Christmas he got me the 2-pack. Lo and behold, a few months later I would get into the Marvel movies, and now I really like both characters that come in it. Before I was mentioning that a lot of the Funko Pops that I've had have never had any paint issues. Well, I guess there's a first time for everything, because this guy does have a few spots where the paint does not look fantastic. Up top here you can see a little chip mark on the red part of his helmet. The top of his helmet kind of just looks dirty in general, and there's some paint scuffs all around. And the paint on his torso is just a little bit sloppy looking, which I can't tell if it's sloppy or if it just has really minute details. But even though it does bleed a little bit, like I said, it is very detailed, and that looks really good. And I appreciate the high level of detail that went into painting this figure. As much as I love classic Mega Man and it is my favorite series of the Mega Man franchise, I absolutely also love the Mega Man X series. The games are extremely fun, and X himself is just such a cool character. I really like the pose that he's in, kind of like a battle-ready pose. It really suits the character of X himself. The one thing that I don't really like about this figure is the fact that it's a bobblehead. One thing that's strange that I still don't understand is that all of the Funko Pops that are Star Wars or Marvel are bobbleheads. Now, like I said, even though it doesn't do a lot, being able to take the articulation on this figure and putting his head like that or like that really does a lot for the way it looks. Which is why I always say that any articulation is better than no articulation. And while bobbleheads are a fun novelty, there's not much I can do with it as a display option. So that is one thing that I really do not like about certain types of Funko Pops. He does come with a stand because, well, I guess he can't stand on his own, which I guess they could tell when they made him, so they included a stand, which is fine, I don't have a problem with it. You just peg his feet on there, I won't be putting the other one in. You just peg his feet in, and then bam, he stands. And it's nice that at least they knew he wasn't going to stand and they included a stand for you. But in terms of the design of the character and the figure itself, I really dig it. It's got a few paint scuff-ups that make it look less than awesome, but the detail more than makes up for that. Now, what I mentioned before about the Pop Funko style lending itself well to the Mega Man characters is absolutely true. I don't think it lends itself too well to the Mega Man X figure. The classic series of Mega Man was a little bit more, I want to say cartoony looking, while the Mega Man X series is meant to be a little more edgy, for lack of a better word. Now, while this guy still looks totally great, and I absolutely love the art style, and I absolutely love the way the figure looks, I'm just saying that the style of Funko Pops lends itself better to classic characters from Mega Man. Now, like I said, Funko Pops are not something that I go to the store looking for. But like I also said, that doesn't necessarily mean I have anything against Funko Pops, which is why I'm more than happy to get them as gifts. There are some real huge fans of Funko Pops out there, and if you're one of them and you also happen to like Mega Man, I recommend getting any one of these. The jumping one is even better than the original Mega Man to me because it is a more iconic pose, and who doesn't love an 8-bit version of Mega Man? In fact, I think the best way to describe Funko Pops for me is that's it. They're just fun to have. What are your guys' thoughts on Funko Pops? Leave a comment down below and let me know. But that's about going to wrap it up for this episode of Mega May 4. I want to thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you guys on the next episode.